When it comes to education, Marty Walsh and John Connolly aren't very far apart. They both agree on major reforms like expanding charter schools and extending Boston School Day. Mayor Tom Menino spent 2 years negotiating for a longer school day with the teachers union, but couldn't get the concession. John Connolly says that's a primary reason he voted against the teacher contract as a city councilor.
My issue is not with teachers. My issue is with a contract that gives our kids one of the shortest school days in urban America and has hiring rules that are dictated almost entirely by seniority. So we're not thinking about great teaching. We're just thinking about length of service.
Now Marty Walsh is taking on the teachers union too. At a campaign event in Jamaica Plain, Walsh said extending the school day can't wait until the current contract expires in 2016.
I'm going to ask the teachers union to look at their contract, and right now they're in the middle of the contract, and I'm going to ask them to talk about it now, not wait till the contract expires. We need some concessions now. We need some changes now. So I'm going to ask them to do that now so we can move our school system along.
The Boston Teachers Union has yet to make an endorsement and, at this point, might not support either candidate. Here to offer more perspective is WGBH News political analyst Peter Kansas, who also has kids in the Boston Public Schools.
For 15 years, I've been a Boston Public School parent.
And we should point out that some of these schools are fine, right? It's not across the board that they're terrible.
Well, more than half the kids in the school system are failing. I have to say we've been lucky enough to have had great educational experience in the schools. But I have to say, parents have to really work at gaming the system. And if you're a blue-collar family, you know, holding a job that doesn't give you the flexibility, the lobby, you could be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I've heard that from other people. Well, this issue of longer school days, giving principals more autonomy, both candidates want to expand charter schools. These are all things that the unions don't want to do, which is why we keep kind of going back to this union issue. I mean, that's going to be a critical. I mean, the teachers union may not end up supporting or endorsing, I should say, either one of these candidates.
Oh, I'd be amazed if the teachers union took a stand in this race. Both are anathema. If they don't like Marty Walsh, they positively hate John Connolly. Connolly and Walsh have very similar proposals. And Walsh, to give him credit, is really trying hard to catch up. And when I say catch up, that's because this is Connolly's bread and butter. For years, he has made school reform his issue. Walsh's proposal, and by the way, everyone who's interested should go to their respective websites. Just put their name in a search engine and you'll find them. Read them for yourself and you'll really see remarkable overlap. But I think the difference is Connolly's years on the ground, he has a granular knowledge. Just one example. Walsh put forward a laudable proposal to have a computerized system to alert high schoolers and their parents if you're in danger of failing, dropping out of high school. Well, such a system already exists. Now, maybe it's not as good as it can be, but John Connolly's just sort of in terms of feel, he's covered so much of the territory for so long. But to take the politics aside, there is just such a vast job to be done here.
I'd like to expand the conversation here and bring in Maria DeLourdes Serpa. She's an education professor at Lesley University. Welcome.
Thank you.
One of the issues, and Peter knows all about this too, is that the Boston Public Schools have become a de facto kind of social services system. There's so much poverty, and you know they solved the hunger problem years ago, but all of this comes together in the schools. Both John Connolly and Marty Walsh have said that they want to address that. They want to address the poverty issue. They want to address the crime issue in the schools. Is that feasible? Is that possible?
I think it depends on how they decide to go about it. Because on one hand, poverty has been sort of an excuse for the achievement gap and for lack of other school achievement issues. And yes, poverty is a critical element and it needs to be addressed. I'm not so sure that it is only the school districts, but it has to be a school-wide effort. And this is where now Boston has a tremendous opportunity that will have a new mayor and a new superintendent, that they can really take a look at what's working, what's not working, and how they can use change and innovation to really improve on the services for all the children of Boston who are poor, who are not poor, who have disabilities, who speak English as a second language, etc. It's like a tremendous opportunity now because in addition to that, I think that Boston is a microcosm of the world. We have people from all over, we have languages from all over, cultures, etc. And I think this is a tremendous opportunity to be used as a resource, as an enrichment, not only to Boston, but also to the state of Massachusetts and beyond.
To pick up on something here, one of John Connolly's strongest points, and the point he's been making for years, much to the annoyance of the mayor and people in City Hall, is that Court Street is a bloated bureaucracy. I mean, the number of administrators we have downtown administering a broken system, you wonder if by, I'm being simplistic here, but if you just cut the number in half, maybe things will improve. It's a bloated system, and one of Connolly's cornerstones is to try to debureaucratize the system.
It's this whole issue about charter schools. I mean, I can understand why they don't want, the teachers don't want more, but if they just listed the cap, why don't you make the whole system charter schools?
Yes, but I think charter schools...
Every school runs its own business. It takes money from the city per student.
Yes, I do think that charter schools represent one variation of the same, and I think that the system, the way we have it, has been organized for a different age. In my professional opinion, I think that Boston, in particular, really needs to take a look at a different way of delivering educational services that really include all students, that have a structure that is responsive to the needs of today, and that in fact can use more collaboration and cooperation as a way to problem solve the issues that are really going on. I don't think it's one more...
Like what? Like what?
Yeah, because I think that the system, the way we have it, it was really organized for the industrial age. The school day was organized for a different society, a different family structure. Now we have at least a bit over 40% of the families in Boston come from cultures other than native English speaking, speak other languages. They have needs. They want the best for their children along with everyone else. So the system needs to be more responsive as to what the needs are. And in addition to that, they also need to meet students' needs where they are so then they can really achieve at grade level like everyone else. And one more point that I really would like to make has to do with the fact that all the children of Boston should be at the forefront of discussing exactly what needs to happen so all can achieve. It shouldn't be English language learners on one end, English proficient on the other end, kids with disabilities in another segment, and charter schools, depending on how they are really organized, they don't address the gamut of all the students.
They those people out. That's right.
They exclude students.
And there is a movement. The school committee, at its most recent meeting, has moved to make charters more inclusive, to level the playing field, if you will.
That's what I was getting at. If you level the playing field and take this wink-wink lottery system out of it and made every school kind of run itself, I mean, that's the way it was when we were growing up.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the cornerstones of Connolly's whole plan is not just the longest school day, which Marty Walsh shares. It's to free principals up, give them the power to hire and fire. And you know what? A lot of the teachers themselves agree with this.
Yeah, so this whole idea of principal autonomy, and there is a program, we talked to Peter Lynch and his foundation a few months ago about getting more teachers in the system who want to be principals and teachers who really know the schools, too.
Listen, the principal makes an incredible difference. My son is at the Elliott School. One of my kids is at the Elliott School. The woman who runs that school is like out of a Disney movie. She has so much energy.
Really?
The teachers are motivated. They would die for their kids. It's tremendous. And it's the teacher, the principal acting as a leader, you know, energizing the whole school.
That's a good point. All right, Peter Kansas, Maria DeLorde-Serpa, thanks so much for coming. All right, well, from City Hall to Beacon Hill, the race for governor is also heating up. State's Treasurer Steve Grossman announced his second bid for governor back in July. This week, he joined Jim and Marjorie on Boston Public Radio and was asked how this campaign will differ from the one he ran 11 years ago.
I ran in 2002. You know, it's interesting. Somebody asked me the other day, what did you learn from your race in 2002? Yep. I said, I learned how to be a better listener. And in listening to the needs of the people of this Commonwealth, listening to citizens and educators and business people and innovators and people who start new companies, I think I have my finger on the pulse of what they need. Combine that with 35 years of leadership, running a business, bringing progressive values into that business. I think it's important. It's a quality of life issue, is that 975,000 people woke up this morning and did not have a single hour of earned sick time. That means when they're sick, they go to work sick because they're afraid of getting fired. It means they send their kids to school sick with 102 temperature because they don't know how to get to work and they're afraid of losing their jobs. This is an article of faith for me. We've had it in our company for 25 years. I was the first business owner to testify in 2006 in the legislature, in the Gardner Auditorium. We waited 8 years. This is morally wrong that we don't have it, and it's economically unwise. These are some of the things that I will talk about throughout this campaign.
All right, you can hear Jim and Marjorie's entire conversation with Steve Grossman and other candidates for governor on our website, WGBHnews.org. And that is it for Greater Boston. Tomorrow night, some of the sharpest minds in the technology industry are in town for MIT's MTech conference. And Ben Johnson of Marketplace Tech is one of them. He joins us. Plus, WGBH arts editor Jared Bowen tells us how Boston inspired the collection of John Singer Sargent watercolors now on display at the MFA. That's all tomorrow. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for watching.